night, Jungkook suddenly opened his eyes, breath hitching in his throat. His chest rose and fell rapidly, heart pounding as if he had run a marathon. The room was dark and silent, the moonlight slicing through the curtains in faint beams. He sat there for a moment, staring blankly at the ceiling, the image from his dream still burning behind the eyes. After a few minutes, he swung his leg off the bed and stood up, running a hand through his messy hair. He padded to the kitchen barefoot, poured himself a glass of drink. His thoughts were racing again. It was her. The same dream, the same girl, the same place, a cherry blossom tree in full bloom. And under it, a girl. She stood there smiling, looking at him like she had known him forever. Her eyes were gentle, her presence peaceful but powerful. He didn't know who she was. He had never seen her before yet. Every time he dreamed of her, his soul felt like it recognized her. Unable to shake the feelings, Jungkook made his way to his art studio, switching on the lights. The room was filled with unfinished sketches, art supplies, and canvases of all sizes. Tonight, he didn't hesitate. He pulled out a clean canvas, sat on the easel, and picked up his brush. As if possessed, his hand moved on their own. He began to paint her, the mysterious girl from his dream. Her smile, the way her hair blew gently in the wind, the cherry blossom falling all around her. He painted with an intensity he hadn't felt in a long time. Stroke after a stroke, hour after hour, he brought her to life on the canvas. When he finally set the brush down, it was almost dawn. He stared at her face, beautiful, he whispered. He had never thought of painting her before, but now he finally had. He didn't know her name, didn't know why she came in his dreams so often. But something deep inside told him she meant something to him. Exhausted but fulfilled, Jungkook leaned back on the stool. His upcoming art exhibition was just one day away. He hadn't planned on revealing this painting, but now he felt like he had to. The next day afternoon, the art gallery buzzed with quiet activity. Workers moved around, hanging frames, adjusting lights, and arranging labels. Jungkook stood in the center, eyes scanning each of his pieces of the wall. Sketches, portraits, abstract work, but his gaze kept returning to the final painting, her. Just then, he heard a familiar voice. Hey bro, Jungkook turned and saw Jimin and Taehyung walking in. Relief passed over him. You guys made it. He smiled and moved forward to pull them into a hug. Taehyung stepped back and squinting at him. You didn't sleep again last night, did you? Your eyes are bloodshot. Jimin folded his arms and raised an eyebrow. Don't tell me you had that dream again. Jungkook gave them a tired smile and turned away silently. Yeah, same dream, same girl. Taehyung groaned and flopped down onto the nearby sofa. Seriously, it's just a dream. You don't even know this girl. Why are you so obsessed with her? Jungkook slowly sat down beside him, his fingers lacing together, eyes distant. Because when I see her, I feel something I can't explain. Like she belongs to me, like I am meant to find her. He let out a sigh, and every time I wake up, I feel empty. Jimmy rolled his eyes. You sound like the lead of some tragic romantic drama. Maybe you just need a girlfriend or therapy. Jungkook chuckled. Maybe I do, but tomorrow when you see my exhibition, you will understand why I am going crazy. Taehyung and Jimin exchanged looks, curiosity clearly written on their faces. What are you planning? Taehyung asked. Jungkook stood up and looked toward the corner where his painting rested behind a white cloth, waiting to be revealed. Just wait for tomorrow, then you will see her. The girl from my dreams, and maybe then you will believe me. The morning sun filtered through the curtains as Jungkook stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the cuffs of his crisp white shirt. He ran his fingers through his dark hair, making sure each strand was in place, then reached for his cologne. One spray on the neck, one on the wrist. He stared at his reflection for a moment. Tilting his head slightly, he looked handsome as always, but today there was something different in his eyes, a kind of silent excitement. The white shirt paired with fitted navy blue pants gave him a soft, artistic charm. With his sleeves rolled slightly and silver rings on his fingers, he looked every bit the renowned artist that people admired. After checking himself one last time, he grabbed his phone and keys, then headed out. After a few hours later, at the exhibition hall, the venue was alive with movement, voices, and flashes of cameras. People from all over the country and even from abroad had gathered to attend Jungkook's much anticipated art exhibition. The air was filled with the scent of the fresh flowers, soft background music, and the buzz of excited conversations. As expected, the place was already crowded. His paintings lined the walls, each one capturing emotions, expression, and story that only Jungkook could bring to life. From abstract pieces to emotional portraits, every canvas held a piece of his soul. Jungkook moved through the crowd, offering warm greetings, polite notes, and charming smiles. He spoke with art collectors, gave few short interviews to the media, and even signed a few paintings for fans and buyers. His exhibitions were a major event every 3 months. People waited eagerly, knowing that each time he would bring something extraordinary. And, like always, his masterpieces sold fast. As the evening drew to a close, the crowd began to gather near the center of the hall, where a large painting stood hidden behind a white silk cloth. Glasses clinked as the audience raised a toast in Jungkook's honor. He stepped into the small stage, the spotlight warming his face. A hush filled over the room as he took the mic in his hand, eyes scanning the curious, eager faces around him. Thank you everyone from coming, he began. Your love and support mean to world to me. Each painting here tells a story, but today I want to share something very personal. He turned slowly to covered painting behind him. This, he said softly, placing his hand on the edge of the cloth, is not just a painting, it's a part of me. With a slow, steady motion, Jungkook pulled the cloth away. A gasp filled the room. Behind him stood a breathtaking portrait of a young woman standing beneath a cherry blossom tree. The way her eyes sparkled, the gentle curve of her smile, the soft blush of petals in the background. It looked as if the girl could step right out of the canvas. The depth of emotion, the colors, the texture, everything was perfect, unreal yet completely real. People rushed closer, stunned, cameras clicked, whispers spread like wildfire. Who is she? Is she real? I have never seen a painting like this in my life. One collector stepped forward, offering a massive price for this piece. And other offered even more, but Jungkook simply smiled, held up a hand, and shook his head. This painting, he said firmly, is not for sale. The crowd fell silent again. I don't know who she is. I have never met her in real life, but I see her again and again in my dreams. I don't even know her name, yet I feel like I have known her forever. Last night, for the first time, I painted her, and now I just to show her to the world, not sell her, just remember her. Everyone stood quietly, moved by his words. Jungkook then walked to the painting and gently lifted it, hanging it in the very center of the exhibition hall, right under the main lights. The spotlight kissed every detail of the portrait, and her painted eyes seemed to follow everyone who walked by. From that moment on, that painting was never taken down. It stayed there in the heart of the gallery forever. Jungkook refused to move it or sell it because to him it wasn't just art, she was mystery, a memory, a masterpiece. One day, Jungkook sat in his art studio, his mind blank, not knowing what to paint on the canvas. He started thinking about that dream girl, trying to understand why she kept appearing in his dream. Suddenly, a strange symbol appeared in his mind, something he had never seen in real life. Without thinking, he picked up his charcoal and drew the symbol. Then he walked over to the sofa, sat down, and stared at the canvas, trying to understand. He closed his eyes, trying to focus, trying to remember. And suddenly, because of that symbol, flashbacks started hitting him. One by one, everything became clear. He tried harder to remember, and when he opened his eyes, they were full of tears. He dropped to his knees and took deep breaths. This time Jungkook remembered everything. Now he knew why he kept seeing that girl, because this was his rebirth and he was seeing the flashbacks of his past life. He finally understood everything. Then Jungkook whispered to himself, "If I am here, then you are reborn too. Where are you? How do I find you?" He placed his hand on his heart, filled with longing and hope. On the other hand, after almost 3 months, you were finally packing your stuff. Your flight was in the evening. Your studies in London were now complete, and after 6 long years, you were finally going back to Korea. You finished packing and then went to a take shower. Time skip. Hours later, the plane finally landed at the airport in Korea. As you walked out, you saw them, your parents, and your best friends Minha and Kim Sol, waiting for you at the exit. Their faces lit up the moment they saw you. "Ryan!" They shouted together and pulled you into a big group hug. It had been 6 years since you last saw them. You smiled wide and felt tears in your eyes. After some hugs and happy tears, you all drove home together. You were truly happy to be back. Later that night, after dinner and a long chat with your family, you finally went to your room. You were exhausted after the flight. You changed into comfy clothes and lay down on your bed. Within minutes, you fell into a deep, peaceful sleep. But at night, you suddenly woke up. Your breath was shaky, your body is covered in sweat. You sat up quickly, eyes wide, heart racing. You turned to your side table, grabbed the glass of water, and took a few sips, trying to calm yourself. What was that? You whispered to yourself. The dream was so intense. You shut your eyes and whispered again, "It's okay, Ryan. It's just a dream." After a while, your heartbeat slowed down and you lay back down, slowly falling asleep again. Next morning, your best friend Minha and Kimsul arrived at your house. You all sat together in your room, chatting and catching up on everything. But Minha suddenly noticed something. "Ryan, are you okay? You look a little off." You looked down, playing with your fingers. "I don't know," you sighed. "Last night I saw a weird dream. There was a boy. He was laying on the ground, covered in blood. I think he was dead. I was crying and begging him to wake up, and then I woke up." Minha and Kimsol looked surprised. Kimsol touched your hand gently. "Relax. It was just a dream. Don't overthink it." You nodded slowly, trying to smile. "Yeah, maybe." Then you all changed the topic and spent the rest of the day talking, laughing, and enjoying your time together. A few days later, you finally felt fresh again. The jet lag was gone, and you were sitting in the living room relaxing. As you looked around the room, your eyes landed on the front wall. It was empty. You frowned. "Mom, where's the painting we used to hang there?" You asked curiously. Your mom came from the kitchen and replied, "Oh, I removed it. It was very old." You stared at the empty wall again. It looked too plain now. You thought for a moment, then turned to her again. "Mom, do you know any art galleries nearby or any exhibition? I want to buy some new paintings for the house." She smiled and said, "There are many galleries, but the most famous is the JK Art Gallery. Every 3 months they hold a big exhibition. The last one was a few months ago. Maybe the next one is near." You quickly grabbed your iPad and searched JK exhibition. Your eyes lit up. "It's tomorrow," you said with a smile. Without wasting time, you booked 3 tickets for yourself, Minha, and Kimsol. Then you picked up your phone and called them. "Be ready tomorrow. We are going to an art exhibition." That night, as you fell asleep, your mind was still a little restless. But eventually, darkness took over. Your dreams returned once again. Suddenly, you woke up again, gasping. Your breathing was uneven, your chest rising and falling rapidly. Your face was wet, this time with tears. You sat up quickly, placing a hand over your heart. Something didn't feel right. "Why?" You whispered softly in the dark. "What's happening to me?" You closed your eyes tightly. It was him again. The same boy covered in blood, laying still. And this time, the pain was worse, not just sadness, but something deeper. A strange kind of love, a connection. Why do I feel this way? You whispered again. Why do I feel pain and love for someone I have never even met? You knew sleep wouldn't come back now. You leaned your head against the headboard, staring at the ceiling, lost in thoughts of a boy you didn't even know, and yet somehow felt everything fall. The next day, you got ready still feeling a little off. Something about that dream stayed with you. It clung to your chest like an invisible weight. You reached the JK Art exhibition right on time. Outside, Minha and Kim Sol were already waiting for you, and all three of you entered together. The moment you stepped in, your eyes widened. The exhibition was breathtaking. Paintings and sketches lined the wall, portraits, sceneries, abstract pieces, and emotional expressions of art. It was colorful, emotional, and powerful. Each painting seemed to have a soul. You couldn't take your eyes off them. As you walked through the exhibition, your heart was completely drowned in the beauty of it all. So many paintings, so much emotion. You didn't even realize that you had wandered away from Minha and Kim Sol. Without noticing, your feet took you toward the main exhibition hall. And then you stopped, right in the center of the hall, under soft, focused spotlights. Was a large painting. Your eyes slowly moved toward it, and the moment you saw the face on the canvas, your entire world paused. Your eyes widened, your heartbeat raced. You took a step closer, then another, unable to believe what you were seeing. How, how is this possible? You whispered to yourself. It was you, your face, your expression. The cherry blossom tree behind you, exactly how you saw it in your dreams. You blinked rapidly, confused and overwhelmed. Your gaze shifted toward the small label on the corner of the painting. There, the date was clearly written. The date was written 3 months ago. Your mind froze. 3 months ago? But I came back from London just now, after 6 years. Who could have painted this? Why? You clutched your chest, trying to calm yourself, but the pain only got worse. Tears fell down your cheeks as you stared at the painting, feeling something awaken inside you that you didn't understand. Your head spun. Flashbacks started coming in waves. Short, blurry images. A boy, a tree, a voice, a feeling. You didn't understand why you felt pain and cried when you saw that boy in your dream. Suddenly, you feel someone run towards you and gently hold you to stop you from falling. Are you okay? A soft voice asked, full of concern. You slowly turned your head to see a young, tall boy looking at you with wide, shocked eyes. He looked at you, then at the painting, and froze. His lips parted, but no words came out. Before you could ask, he spoke quickly. But please sit here, I will get you some water. You nodded weakly, still overwhelmed, and sat on the nearby bench. Your hands trembled slightly. Your heart was still racing. Moments later, the boy came back and handed you a glass of water. But before he could speak, you looked up at him and asked softly, who made this painting? The boy looked at you, shocked again. My friend Jungkook. He replied gently. Please don't go anywhere. I will be right back. And before you could say anything else, he turned and ran toward Jungkook's office. Taehyung rushed into Jungkook's office, out of breath, clutching the door frame. Jungkook and Jimin immediately stood up, concern written all over their faces. Taehyung, what happened? Are you okay? Jimin asked, rushing to him. Jungkook placed a hand on Taehyung's shoulder. Breathe. What's wrong? Taehyung trying to catch his breath. Eyes wide, he struggled for words downstairs in the hall. That girl, she's here. Jungkook frowned in confusion. Who? What girl? Taehyung stared at Jungkook for a moment, then finally whispered with trembling lips, the girl from your dreams. The one you painted. Jungkook's heart stopped. He went completely still, eyes frozen, body locked. What? He whispered. What did you say? Taehyung stepped back, giving him a second to process. Jimin placed a hand on Jungkook's shoulder and shook him gently. Jungkook, and then Jungkook's breath hitched. His eyes widened. Without another word, he ran out of the office, fast, almost stumbling in his rush. Meanwhile, downstairs, you were still sitting, lost and shaken, your hands trembling as you stared at the painting. You couldn't understand what was happening. the emotions, the connection. It was too much to hold in. Just then, Minha and Kim Sol found you. They rushed towards you. Ryan, are you okay? What happened? Kim Sol sat kneeling beside you, panicking in her voice. She pointed toward the painting with trembling fingers. Your voice barely above a whisper. That's me. That painting, it's me. They turned and saw it for the first time, and both girls frozen in shock. Minha whispered, Ryan, who painted this? And how do they know your face? You just returned from London after 6 years. Before you could answer, you heard footsteps, fast, heavy, breathless. You turned your head and saw him, your eyes widened. Time stopped, it was him, the boy from your dreams, the one who always made you cry. Jungkook, he stopped right in front of you, chest rising fast, completely frozen once he saw your face. Tears filled his eyes without him realizing. His lips parted. He couldn't breathe. You stared at him shocked, confused, but your heart felt something you couldn't explain. And before you could stop yourself, your hand gently reached out and wiped a tear off his cheek. Even as your finger touched his skin, your voice trembled. I don't know who are you, but I saw you in my dreams. You were bleeding on the ground, and I was crying. Jungkook took a slow step forward, then another. Without waiting another second, he pulled you into a tight, warm hug. I knew it, he whispered, his voice breaking. I knew one day you'd come to me. You felt a strange sense of peace in his arms, but your mind was still clouded in confusion. Minha, Kim Sol, and the others looked on, stunned and speechless. Jungkook slowly pulled away and said, Come with me, all of you, there's something you need to know. In Jungkook's office, you sat across from him on the couch, still trying to calm your hurt. Minha and Kim Sol, Taehyung and Jimin were seated beside you, quiet and tense. Jungkook turned his laptop around to face you and opened a folder. He clicked on a picture. Your picture, but not from this life. It was you, dressed in royal clothes, standing beside a cherry blossom tree. The same face, the same eyes. Everyone gasped softly. This, Jungkook said quietly, isn't just a painting. And that girl isn't just you. This is you, but from another life, my past life. Stare at the screen, your breath caught in your throat. Then he pulled out a sketch of symbol, the same one from your dream painting. Do you recognize this? He asked, sliding it towards you. Your fingers reached for the screen. The moment you touched it, a flash of memory hit your mind like a lightning bolt. You saw yourself wearing a soft blue dress, and this symbol was stuck on your chest, part of your royal gown. You gasped, this belonged to me. Jungkook's eyes softened as he smiled gently and moved to sit in front of you. In our past life, he began. Your father was a king and you were a princess. We both studied at the same royal institute. That's where we met. That's where we fell in love. You blinked, small pieces of memory returning little by little. You nodded slowly. I remember a little. Jungkook continued. But when your father found out about us, about me, before he could finish, you suddenly whispered, voice filled with pain. He killed you in front of me. A tear rolled down your cheek. Everyone froze. Jungkook looked at you stunned. You now looked directly into his eyes, and memories, all of them, came crashing back. The love, the pain, then suddenly you paused for a moment, as if a painful memory hit you. You took a shaky breath and added, You know what happened after that, Jungkook? You looked at Jungkook. He looked at you, confused but curious. What happened? Your eyes filled with tears again. I took the same sword that killed you, and I ended my life because I couldn't live without you. The room went completely silent. Jungkook's entire body went cold. He stared at you, unable to speak. Tears fell down his cheeks. He rushed towards you and held you tight in his arms again. I am sorry, he whispered, voice shaking. I am so sorry. Because of me, he couldn't finish. His arms tightened around you. You slowly wrapped your arms around him too, and finally, your soul felt at peace. Then suddenly you pulled back from the hug, your arms slowly dropping as a strange feeling washed over you. You looked at Jungkook, your eyes full of disbelief. I can't believe it, you whispered. The boy I gave up my life for in a past life. And in this life, I forget him. I didn't even remember until now. And now he's standing right in front of me again, your voice choked with emotion. This moment, this feeling, it was the same as before. The same love, the same pain, the same bond that lived beyond lifetimes. Jungkook gently held your hand, his voice soft but full of promise. But this time, I won't lose you. In this life, I will never let you go. You looked at him, and despite the tears in your eyes, you smiled. Your heart finally understood he was your destiny. But suddenly, all of you turned as you heard soft sobs. Kim Sol was crying, her hands covering her mouth. Oh God, she whispered. How could you both go through so much pain in a past life? Minha quickly moved to her side, wrapping an arms around her shoulder to comfort her. Then Taehoon spoke, his voice low with guilt and honesty. I am sorry, bro, he said, looking at Jungkook. We didn't believe you. We thought you were just obsessed with a dream. But now I understand. You both truly deserve a second chance. That's why God gave you this life again, so you can finally be together. No one can separate you now. No one can hurt you anymore. Jungkook looked at you with a soft smile, eyes shining, and you smiled back. Evening time. You and Jungkook were sitting together in the living room of your house. The atmosphere was warm and peaceful. Your mom joined you, sitting across from you with a cup of tea. You took a deep breath and began telling everything about your dreams and painting and your past life, the memories and how you and Jungkook found each other again. At first, your mom was shocked, her eyes wide. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. But after a moment, she reached out and held your hand. I don't care if it's past or present, she said softly. I am just happy that you found your love, your true partner. You smiled gratefully. Everything felt normal now, calm, complete, and for the first time, you and Jungkook truly felt happy. But then the door opened. You all turned your head. Your father entered the house. Jungkook instantly stood up, his eyes going wide as he stared at him. He wasn't the same as the king from the past life, but something about him still made Jungkook nervous. He froze on the spot. You looked at Jungkook and started laughing. Don't worry, you said, laughing harder. My dad isn't the same as before. He's not going to hurt you. Jungkook dramatically placed a hand on his chest and leaned back on the sofa like he was going to faint. Thank God, he said with a dramatic sigh. Everyone in the room burst into laughter, and for the first time in a long time, there was no pain, no fear, just happiness, love, and peace. The pain that lived in your heart was gone. The love that had been waiting across lifetimes was found again. And in that moment, you knew you still loved Jungkook, just like before, just like always.